My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Hey everyone, Thornton here, and today we're going to be talking about how EA has once again killed another promising franchise FPS game. And no, I'm not actually talking about Titanfall 1 or 2, we're going to be talking about the Battlefield franchise and how Battlefield 2042 had such a disastrous launch that it may have crippled the future of the game. Now don't get me wrong, currently the game is in a lot better state after many updates. However, EA might have actually put the nail in their own coffin when it comes to a Call of Duty competitor, and why X-Defiant Finals and other games are going to be closing the gap and making it so Battlefield might not be that prominent in the near future. But without further ado, let's talk about what we know. Battlefield has one of the most unique and interesting histories for video games. What started out as a simple competitor to Call of Duty set in the World War II setting, and then slowly it evolved into something so much more grand. There were massive maps with explodable environments that got destroyed as you trudged along with your teammates trying to capture A, B, or C. Having unique classes where you could heal your teammates or having bullet drop with your snipers was just really refreshing at the time to see from a mainstream title like Battlefield. Being able to go up against a yearly release which would just pump title after title out of the same multiplayer experience, and Battlefield being able to do something very different but in the same setting, while also creating very unique ways to actually play the game and carving out their own niche, truly found a way to succeed. And then they kind of threw it all away. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of bad releases with the Call of Duty series. However, because once again they do that yearly release cycle, it's very easy to forget about it and move on to the next. Whereas with Battlefield, we don't see a new version for years on end at times. But man, is Battlefield 2042 one of the most memorable worst releases of all time for this series. We are playing in a slight future setting, and while they do keep things like destructible environments, giant maps, it doesn't really work. But don't take just my word for it. On December 2nd, they had 29,000 active players with a 24-hour peak of 30,000, with an all-time high peak of 100,005, with a very low approval rating. This is horrible for a game that was supposed to be as hyped up as this was, and that has such a rabid fan base. But why is this Battlefield so bad? And there are so many reasons I could list, but I'll name some of the big ones right now. There is no single player story or campaign mode, which makes this a $60 title, which really, I hate when games do this. Do not come out with a only multiplayer mode and charge me the full cost. I don't care if other competitors do the same thing. That doesn't make it okay, and I have higher standards for you personally. The game has fewer base game maps than any other title. Even if you count the Portal game mode, the map count is only 13. They have completely removed the class system, which was once again a staple of Battlefield history. There are fewer weapons in this game, even if you include once again all the Portal guns. Battlefield 4 still had more at launch. There are fewer vehicle types, with no naval vehicles, no small transports, no vehicle gunner director indicator, no lock-on direction indicator, no vehicle enter or exit animations. Honestly, I will show you right here an entire list of everything that this game lacks. There is too much for me to cover to make this video still somewhat interesting. It's just a big pile of trash. So what caused Battlefield to go in a completely different direction than they have in the past? What caused them to turn on their fan base, which has been such a loyal and diehard fan base that loves these games? As most of you know, EA did buy DICE back in 2006. And for the most part, the games have still been very good, although there have been a couple of hiccups. I'm specifically actually looking at Star Wars Battlefront 2, sense of pride and accomplishment. But EA does what EA always does, and it's so infuriating to see. They take a developer that is known for making this great product with this great style and saying, hey, this makes money, why don't we do this instead, even though the developer isn't even known for that. And it seems that EA has struck again, as Tom Henderson let us know the next Battlefield title is scoped as a hero shooter of sorts. It's not a removal of specialists, but an enhancement of them. Battlefield 2042 has always been intended to be a stepping stone to a hero shooter with a battle royale. It was just executed poorly. And I'll be honest here, I love battle royales, one of my favorite games of all time. time is Apex Legends, but in this situation, EA took a giant misstep. Not every game needs to be a hero shooter battle royale to survive. Look at Halo Infinite, which dropped with Battlefield, which absolutely decimated. There isn't a battle royale to be found anywhere near Halo, and yes, I know, microtransaction for their free-to-play multiplayer, but at least there I'm paying $60 for a campaign that was phenomenal, by the way. And don't get me wrong, changing gameplay mechanics and elements is definitely something studios should be doing when they release a new title. They do not need to, however, change the genre of their entire game. That is a recipe for failure. In a completely hypothetical situation, if they went back to Battlefield 4 and were like, hey, we're going to introduce a brand new game mode with some DLC, it's called Battle Royale, and you guys can try it out and see if you like it, and it's on top of the base game that's already existent, I'm all for that. That's a great way to do it, because then it allows the hardcore player base that's been with you since day one to continue to enjoy the game that they know and love, while also allowing for new players to come in and try out a new mode. Going and focusing on your new games being completely different from your original doesn't entice new players to play it, while also giving, once again, your hardcore fans from day one a giant middle finger. And sad to say, with the poor reception of Battlefield 2042, a lot of high executives are no longer with EA or with DICE, showing that there was some kind of friction there, or that EA saying you didn't make enough money, let them go. We don't have a final answer, but there's no good reason you should be losing all of these high-level employees. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. They did hire Vince Zampella to take over DICE, and that's good because Vince is absolutely a staple of the first-person shooter market. He is responsible for the original Modern Warfare with his studio, and then also went on to create Respawn Studio, which gave us the amazing Titanfall franchise and then Apex Legends. And I'm actually really excited to see what Vince can do, but I'm also a little worried because it seems like the reason EA moved Vince over to DICE is because they are going full push on this new Battle Royale hero shooter mode they really want this game to revolve around, which is only going to make this more problematic. And it is further exemplified by the fact that a bunch of Q&A testers are moved over from Apex over to Battlefield, which has never happened before, as they have stated. And I really do hope that Vince takes this series back to its roots, because Battlefield can be so great when made correctly. And I do trust that Vince can do that, as he has prior experience working with similar titles. And I also know that if he did go in the route of a Battlefield Battle Royale, it would probably actually be pretty fantastic, but that's not what I want, and I don't think that's what a lot of other hardcore fans want. Regardless of whether or not it would be a great Battle Royale, we want Battlefield for Battlefield. Let me know down in the comments section below, guys. Were you let down by Battlefield, or do you think that it was salvaged eventually by the devs and the team over at DICE, or do you think that this might finally be the nail in the coffin and you don't plan on picking it up going forward in the future, and you have moved on to other franchises, like I mentioned, X-Defiant, The Finals, even Helldivers? Or do you see yourself moving away from the Battlefield franchise and moving more similarly into Call of Duty? Also, don't forget to check out these videos right here where I cover news and information on Helldivers 2, Finals, and X-Defiant. And as always, thank you for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.